Today on the DML News Podcast, we're going to talk about taxing the rich, taxing corporations. Will this bring down the Trump chances for a midterm victory? We have that and a couple other things. So get ready, because it's all unfiltered.
Dennis Michael Lynch gives you his word, and he will never let you down. He will always fight for America.
The only one who really puts his money where his mouth is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Hello, I'm Dennis Michael Lynch, and I thank you for joining me today. My son Denny has the day off from podcasting because we had such a successful BOGO event at dmlcbd.com that he is at our warehouse filling orders because we're that backed up. In fact, let me just start the show off by saying this. If you are an existing customer or you're somebody who's been thinking about it, DMLCBD offers BOGOs every now and then. And we are not going to have another buy one, get one free until July at best, maybe August, because we are leaving our facility. Our lease is coming to a termination, and we've got to move into a new place. And that is problematic because there's so much to move. So what we try to do is we try to sell off all of the inventory so we don't have to move that inventory. And that means that we have to get new inventory, but we don't get the new inventory until we have the doors open in the new place. So this happens every time we move. And like I said, it was 2 years ago that we moved and we got a new lease, and the landlord we have is just a nightmare. I'm not staying there. So you want to pack up your shelves at home to build that bridge on the BOGO items. The person who isn't in the DML CBD family, you are making a grave mistake. If you are having trouble sleeping, this can change your life instantaneously, like in a matter of days. There are so many different advantages. And the fact that you are not a customer yet is a shame, because it is the sort of product that can change your life for the better. So I encourage you, go to dmlcbd.com, take a look. It's like going to the Ferrari store of DML CBD. That's what it is. It's the Ferrari of CBDs. You go in there, and on our BOGOs, if you time it right, you never have to pay full price because you could buy enough to build the bridge to the next one. You buy one, you get two. You buy three, you get six. You buy 12, you get 24, right? That's the beauty of it. So it's like going shopping for a Ferrari and paying Kia prices. I love saying that. So go to dmlcbd.com. The BOGO, I extended it because people asked me to. It ends this Friday. So Friday night, it ends, and then you're not going to have another one until July. So get in there and give yourself a chance. Watch what happens to you. It would be incredible if you gave yourself a chance. dmlcbd.com. Denny is out, but Ryan is in. Ryan looks like he's having a little bit of difficulty with some of the technology. You having difficulty with technology, son?
I was, but I fixed it.
Yeah, so we're live on Facebook?
Yeah, that wasn't the issue.
We're live on Rumble?
Yeah.
We live on Team DML?
Yeah.
Then there's no problems in the world.
Well, no, all the clips disappeared for today, and then I got them back.
You got them back?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Why don't we have a little fun before we get into the non-fun stuff?
I had a little panic attack while you're in your open.
Why don't you let the people see you? There you go. There you go. Say hello to the good people. Just turn your left arm and just wave. There you go. There you go. So before we go getting into the serious stuff, we're going to talk about Trump, taxes, stuff of that nature. We are doing something new here. We are doing something very new. If there's one common refrain that I get all the time, you could come to me. Nobody wants to see you anymore. If there's one common refrain that I get and we get all the time, Ashley talks about it constantly, is if you go and you look at my Facebook feed or any of my feeds, people will always say, I totally missed the walk and talk. Now, I don't know what it is. Something about the walk and talk was always a lot of fun. It was very informative. It was much different. The problem I have is that, A, I moved out of New York, so the walk and talk was no longer the same. I didn't have the church bells and all the different visuals. Now you just go up and down and I show you palm trees. But people loved it because it was so natural and unscripted. Not that this is scripted. We don't script anything. I don't have a teleprompter. We don't even make, Denny kind of makes an outline. If it's just me and Ryan, we just kind of ramble. But people loved it. So one of the things that we're talking about here, we want to try to promote our newsletters. We really think our newsletters are amazing. The open rate, I always talk about it here, about how it is 3 times the industry standard. And we now have 3 newsletters, and they're all wildly popular. 47report.com. If you sign up for that, you also get the DML report. 47 report goes in the morning, DML report goes out in the afternoon. And then we have the new one, the DML Health newsletter. And if you go to dmlhealth.com and you sign up there, you'll get that one too. So we said, what's a great way for us to promote where people would know about what we're doing? And I think Ashley or somebody suggested, why don't we bring back the walk and talk? I said, I can't do the walk and talk anymore because, first of all, it's too hot to do it here. And second of all, is for years of holding up my phone like this, I have now nerve damage, believe it or not, in my chest, in my right side of my chest. I can't do it anymore. So we came up with, do we have a boat and talk or do we have a golf and talk? And I think what we're going to do is we're going to have a golf and talk. Now, the golf and talk will be on Facebook Live. And then we'll have little clips that we're going to put on as reels on Facebook. What we're going to do is we're going to start giving away free stuff. Seriously, I'm just going to start giving away free stuff. Free t-shirts, free DML CBD, free everything. And we're going to announce these free things on our little clips that we do. So we're going to give you a little taste here. We're going to start this all next week in terms of what we're going to give away free. In fact, we're actually having a meeting. I think we have our meeting tomorrow at 12 o'clock where it's myself and my kids. And we're going to talk about how that's all going to work. But in these videos, we are going to create opportunities for you for sharing and registering on our stuff that you're going to be able to get free merchandise. And I'm not talking about little tiny BS stuff. I'm talking about bottles that cost hundreds of dollars, bottles that cost $50, t-shirts that would be $20. We're going to start giving that away for free for people who are watching these. Now, we're going to have some fun in between it. We're going to give you two examples. And I want people on Facebook to do me a favor. And I want, same thing, Team DML and Rumble. I'm going to go and I'm going to take a look at all these things right now. Ryan versus me on the golf course. We're going to play 2 clips. We play 2 holes, Ryan and I. I want to see right now who people think would win, Ryan. All right. Is it Ryan, the young stud who is much younger than his father? Would he win the hole or would DML win the hole? So let's see. I want to see here on, I'll use Facebook for an example. Can you get to Team DML?
Yeah, I can.
Go to Team DML. See if anybody gives us a comment on that. Who do you think wins the first? We have 2 videos we're going to show you here. 2 videos as an example of what it is we're going to start doing on Facebook all the time. Who do you think? All right, so we got Marquette. So this is how this would work. Marquette Woolen has said Ryan and Jane Ant both think that Ryan would wind up winning the hole. Here it now. See, this is what we're going. Oh, Tammy Nielsen Swanson says Ryan. Shirley Blanchard says Ryan. Everybody's going with Ryan. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. And this is going to be part of it. We will give somebody an opportunity to win based on their bet. So let's use Shirley Blanchard right now because I love Shirley Blanchard, right? Oh, Jane Miller-Luck says Ryan. Teresa Thomas says DML. But we're going to go, we can't go with all of them right now. So we're going to take the first hole. Tammy Nielsen Swanson and Shirley Blanchard both have said Ryan. So if Ryan wins this first hole, the 2 of those people, Tammy Nielsen Swanson and Shirley Blanchard, will both get a free bottle of DML CBD Miracle Me. It's a $200 bottle. Let's play the video and let's see who wins the hole. Ryan, hole number 1. Play it. Yards. Ready, Ryan?
Yep.
Sandwich. To the left, see that?
Yep.
Pin high. Oh, God. Center. Should I putt or should I chip?
I'd putt that.
Putt it? Putt it. We're going to putt it. Oh, see it through it that way? No chance. Ryan has absolutely no chance. 0. Oh. Now he's in the other sand trap.
It's not a very good shot.
I haven't played in like 4 months.
Yeah, right.
He's like his mother.
Let's see. Oh, there it is. Oh, nice putt. For the par.
So clearly the good guy won. Dad won. DML won. What do you say about that, Ryan?
I don't have time to golf, unlike you.
First of all,
You're always golfing.
I got a 3 and you got a 4. Now, in this particular case, Tammy and Shirley both would have lost, so they would not get the free bottle, all right? So we'll give a second example. Now, you can see it was a pretty tight class. It's pretty tight. I had 4. No, Ryan had 4. I had 3. I parred the hole. You bogeyed the hole. Ryan asked for a second chance. So let's ask, again, before we get into the politics here, see, Brenda Good says DML never fails. See, that's good like that, right? So let's do it one more time, Ryan. Let's see whether or not you have a chance to win. Now, who thinks that Ryan will beat me in the second hole? All right, let's see. Let's see what people say here. Patty Ann thinks DML would win. Who thinks can Ryan come back and win a second hole? That's the question. Oh, wait a second. Mark Heap Woolen says it's a fixed clip. Nope. There's no fixed. We would never lie. No fixed clip. We just edited it down to make it shorter. Kim Torkelson thinks that Ryan is going to win the second hole. If Kim were to be correct in this, she would get a free bottle of DML CBD Miracle Me worth $200. Ryan, play the second hole.
We don't have all day. Do not have all day.
He's so his mother.
Watch out for the water, by the way. Ooh, that's a good swing. That is on the, that's on the green. My goodness, you did it.
That's money.
That's on the green, but closer. Does it have a chance? Nope, it's off to the left. It's off to the left. Take the par. All right, here's for Ryan's par.
All right, Ryan. So before we get into the politics here, let's just go over something for a second. So in both holes, you had an opportunity to help the good people on Facebook win some free prizes. You could not beat me. You had a 4 and a 4, and Dad had a par and a par.
All right, I'll start practicing. I feel bad now,
You
but
should feel bad. The good news is that we get to play golf as a business expense. Anyway, so next week, look for those. We're going to have them, a bunch of them. We're going to have a bunch of them. Ryan will once in a while win. There's no doubt. It will be when I have a bad hole, obviously. But we will have this all structured so this way people can absolutely win tons of things. We're giving away stuff. I am in charity mode. So that said, let me tell you why I'm in charity mode. Let's get into a little bit of Donald J. Trump, right? I have been, you need to, I could hear, yeah. I have been, I think, one of the greatest champions for Trump for a very long time. Very long time. And he doesn't do everything perfectly. We know this. And nobody does everything perfectly. I say it all the time. Only one guy ever walked on water, and he ain't the current president of the United States. So I don't want to sit here as if I'm sitting on some royal chair looking down at the peasants and saying, Donald J. Trump screwing up again. It's not it at all. I understand that the job he has is uber difficult, and there are always going to be bad choices made. bad hires made. I get it. That said, periodically, Trump creates his own nightmare. And this is one of those times. And so when I come here today and I talk about this, it's not because, you'll read some of the comments on social media. The email's turning on Trump. The drama is unbelievable. Save the drama for your mama. What my job is, as far as I'm concerned, is to hold politicians accountable, even if that politician is Donald J. Trump. I am never going to change my way. I'm always going to be that way. And if you don't like it, I guess you go to somebody who's just going to feed you what it is you want to hear. We have a significant issue in this country right now, economically. I'll lay it out for you, even though you're experiencing it on your own. The Biden inflation has not gone away. It has simmered down, but it has not gone away. We are still paying considerably more for things than we were before Biden stole the presidency. Unfortunately, inflation has been taking a lot longer to come down than any of us would have hoped. What the Fed has done with interest rates in skyrocketing them up hasn't done what it was supposed to do. Now, for those of you who don't understand why interest rates are tied to inflation, let me explain it to you in the shortest form. Inflation, quite often, is driven by just printing money, handing out money as if it's candy. And at the same time is you have a supply and demand issue, right? So if you have supply and demand, something that may have been caused by COVID, let's say, and you're printing money like there's no tomorrow, and you're giving away money with low interest rates, what winds up happening is that people have more money to spend in an economy. People have more money to spend for things that they want. So if there's a limited amount of boats made, a limited amount of cars made, the car dealers, the boat dealers are obviously going to raise prices because they need to make more on every single one of those items. You have more money in your pocket because it doesn't cost a lot of money to borrow money, whether it's on a credit card or a home equity line or whatever it may be. And you are going to go out and pay more money for that boat or more money for that car than you would otherwise. What happens is that starts to create a problem called inflation, where everything is inflated. Now, I'm using it for things like cars and boats, but you can put the same thing in a supply and demand for eggs, whatever it may be that you want to do. That's what happens. And inflation starts. So what happens is that the Fed comes in and says, we need to change this. And so what they do is they up the interest rate. This way, you don't go to use that credit card so quickly. You don't go in and try to borrow money so quickly because you're going to pay more for it. Businesses do the same thing. They don't go out and they don't borrow money because it just costs too much money to borrow that money. So what happens? They spend less. And if they're spending less and they're cutting back, what happens? People lose their jobs or people don't make as much money. And so the idea is that if you raise interest rates, you will slow down the economy, and therefore the price of that boat, the price of that car, the price of those eggs, they will start to drive themselves down. So this way, people will go back and buy. It hasn't worked because the Fed, led by Mr. Powell, can't find its ass with both hands. You have a bunch of bureaucrats who look at numbers and think that that's just the way that the world spins. I mean, let me ask you a question. When you wake up in the morning and you go out and you start your day, do the first thing you do math equations? No, you don't. You go and you do things based on a feel. You do things based on availability. You do things based on, if you do or do not have the money. So what winds up happening is that the Fed starts controlling way too much of monetary policy. Okay. Now Trump comes in. Trump's whole thing is, I've got to cool down this inflation. And at the same time is, I got to increase the economy. Not a very easy thing to do. Not a very easy thing to do. Now, Trump could have taken on different strategies. I don't have enough time to sit here and go through every single one of them. But I will say that one of his strategies to boost the economy, and it is a long-term strategy, by the way, is to implement tariffs. Now, It hasn't been a popular move with many of my followers because they've seen their 401ks get diminished greatly. But I have said time and time again on this show, and I am not going to change my position. And if it turns out to be that I'm wrong and Trump's wrong, I'll lick my wounds in two different ways. Number one is I'll have to lick the wounds with my audience, and maybe some people will leave me because they'll say, oh, DML has been right 95% of the time, but that 5% that he was wrong on the tariffs, man, that cost me a lot of money. I get it. And the second way I pay is that if I'm wrong, remember, I'm losing money too. When I go, and right now, I mean, I talk about it periodically on here. I haven't really gone deep into it. Maybe one day we'll have a Friday show where I'll explain why it is. But, between Mary's disability now that she has and this ongoing thing that I've had with my nerves and my stomach, although I've cured my stomach's part, I haven't gotten the nerve under control. And that's why periodically I'm not on the show. I'm up at Mayo Clinic trying to get treatments. But I'm now in retirement mode. I do not get paid to do the show. I do not get paid to do the DML CBD. My kids have taken over both of those companies. I do this out of trying to help them, and I do it out of love for Team DML and people. If I got to do a podcast once a day, it keeps me active, keeps my brain going, and always leaves my options a little open. But I don't get paid anymore. In fact, it costs me to be engaged in this, but I do it because I love it. I love being with you. With that in mind, I'm now in retirement mode. When I see my 401k and my retirement plans losing 25% of their value, I get really nervous because that's either going to force me back into working, or it's going to force me to have to cut back on things that I didn't think I'd have to cut back on as I started to enter retirement. So trust me, when I sit here and I pitch for tariffs, there's high risk for me personally if they don't work. But I believe in them. And the reason why I believe in them is because I am tired of walking around my house or walking around other people's homes and seeing that every single last thing is made in China. We had somebody, and rightfully so, we had a promotion going on, and we'll have it back in the next month or so when season 2 launches. But I did a season 1 of a podcast called Life After 50. It started in January, and now at the end of April, we're going to start season 2. Season 2 is going to be very interesting. Unlike season 1, where season 1 was me interviewing somebody, season 2 is going to be me reflecting back on and showing you video that's never been shown before and different things that I've done over the course of time. And people are just going to be blown away with the fun that's in there. But I'm tired of seeing things made in China. And we had a cup that we were promoting called Life After 50. It's a mug. I don't have it here on my desk, but I will next week. And somebody got one and said, DML, this is made in China. I said, son of a gun. I can't get them made in the United States. What's going on here? I'm tired of that. So I know long term, we need to bring manufacturing back into the United States of America. From a health perspective, I just did something about this on the DML Health newsletter. It's very, very, very enlightening. The majority of all of our medications and all of our drugs that you're getting at CVS, Walgreens, wherever, they are imported, or at least the ingredients are imported in many different ways from China. Think about the risks that we have there. If you're dedicating your every day to taking a certain medication because you believe you need it or your doctor tells you need it, and you go to get that medication and it's not there, what are you going to do? I mean, I spoke about my daughter Ashley. My daughter Ashley needs to have Benadryl at her side because she has a disease called AERD, and sometimes it kicks up and she literally cannot breathe. And so she takes the Benadryl, and the Benadryl shrinks it down and makes it so she could breathe again. What about if the ingredients or Benadryl itself wasn't available because the Chinese decided that they were going to cut us off? Yeah. Or even worse, what about if the Chinese said, hey, a great way to get America is we're going to start poisoning these medications and drugs. They're not really vetting anything. These are real concerns that we have as Americans. So when I look at the tariffs that Trump wants to put in place, I like them because it will force America to go back to doing what it once did. We used to make things. We used to be great. We used to have the manufacturing know-how and mojo that the rest of the world admired. Now, for the sake of getting things cheap, We get it from overseas. We get it from Vietnam. We get it from Indonesia. We get it from China. We get it from India. We get it from Mexico. Why? Why are we having these third world and these, unregulated worlds send us things? Now you say regulations, DML. Regulations isn't a Republican or conservative word. It is in some cases. I would like to have my medicines and my things regulated. I'd like there to be regulations. Sometimes regulations are good. Rules are good sometimes. So I want the tariffs in there. I want to see America thrive again because I want to see all of the dirt roads that used to be paved in gold with all the weeds now, the weeds growing up through the cracks in warehouses with broken windows. They're everywhere. As a guy who's traveled this country endlessly by car, they are everywhere. Manufacturing has gone to the crapper. So I like the idea of Trump putting in the tariff and now, therefore, creating new jobs long term. This tariff idea is a long-term strategy. Of course, the stock market doesn't like it because the stock market is based on futures, and they have misled themselves into believing that long-term, that trade wars will actually slow and hurt our economy. I disagree. I don't think we need a global economy. I think the global economy has created more havoc than it has good. I'd like to see us go back to the days when global economies were existing, but they weren't prevalent. Now they're everything. So the stock market has gone down, and I've said I'm losing 25% today, but I know I'm going to gain 50% tomorrow, sort of deal. Okay, I've lined this up. What I told you in selling you the tariffs when I did a couple of weeks back is I explained that it was the perfect case. And here's what I said. If we can have tariffs and we could bring manufacturing back to the United States, yes, for a time being, we may pay more money for items. However, Trump is going to take the tax code, he's going to take the tax percentages, and he's going to lower them again. He is going to lower corporate taxes. He already did it. He brought us down to 21%. Remember that in 2017? When in 2017 he was doing that, you heard all the economists, all the experts say it was going to be detrimental to the United States, that these corporations were going to take the money that they were saving and they were going to put it in their executive pockets. That's not what happened. What happened was they hired more people, they bought more products, and the economy thrived in a way that I have never seen in my lifetime. GDP went up. So all the economists, all the experts were wrong. Trump was right. DML was right. Then COVID came and kind of screwed up everything. I know we'll be right on the tariffs. So what I said was, when Trump redoes the taxes again, not only is he going to re-up the 2017 tax breaks that he gave, but he's going to even lower more. This is something he said on his campaigning, that he was going to lower the corporate taxes yet again. So what I explained to you was the tariffs long term will create more manufacturing and more opportunity in the United States of America. Your neighbor who doesn't have a job, your neighbor who is struggling, your town which no longer has anything being made in it, all of that stuff is going to come back. It's going to feel like the 1950s again. And to make that even better and to offset some of those tariffs, we're going to wind up having lower tax rates for corporations and for all people across the board. You're going to keep more of your money. So the tariffs, let's say, for instance, you paid $12 for a widget versus $8 for the widget that you used to pay pre-tariff, it's not going to matter because that $4 delta is going to be made up tenfold in the amount of money you save on taxes. It's the same argument I make all the time about illegal immigration and deportation. You will have certain Republicans and you'll have the whole Democrat Party tell you that it doesn't make sense to deport the illegal aliens here because it's going to cost hundreds of billions of dollars to deport these people. They talk about the cost of deportation. Yes, it costs a lot of money to deport these people. However, what you will save long term, because you're no longer paying for these people to go to school for free, you're no longer paying for their EBT cards, you're no longer paying for their hospital bills that they don't pay for. we will wind up saving in the long term 10 to 20 to 30 times the amount that it's going to cost on the deportation. Nobody ever does that math. They only look at how much it's going to cost to deport somebody, and they make the argument for them to stay here. So I am making the argument in the same way. The tariffs will hurt now, but they will help tomorrow, especially when we have the lower tax rate. The economy will be better than it was in 2017. You just got to give it some time. In fact, what I said was by the end of this August, our economy would show signs of being the most robust economy in America's lifetime. Okay. Something happened on the way to that strategy. And maybe it's just talk. But sometimes Trump says things that there's no need for. There's no strategic play here. What it does is it sends fear and it sends uncertainty. And this is not good, because as much as I can make a defense for tariffs and as much as I will always defend what Trump has to say, this is one of those times I can't do it. Trump is talking, the White House is talking about raising taxes on people who make, I think it's, they said $1 million a year, but I think it's a little bit less than that. I think it's like $750,000 is one of the things I heard about. So some of the highest earners in the country are going to have their tax rate increase, maybe up to 40%. And then on top of that, corporations having their 21% increase. Now, the reason why he's talking about doing that is because his budget, what he wants to do to fund certain initiatives that he promised he would do, whether it's the border or anything else like that, he needs more money. So where is he going to get the money from? Instead of continuing to cut, he's going to go take from the most successful people and the successful businesses in the country. Now, you're listening to this, and odds are you're not somebody who's making $1 million or more. Many of you I know are retired or getting ready to be retired. Others I know are working very hard, and I'm sure there's a couple of you who are out there making yourself that kind of money a year. Nobody deserves to be taxed more. There is no reason why we need to go out and work and give more money to the government. When you give money to the government squanders that money. America works best when the American citizens and the corporations keep their money and continue to invest it, whether they're investing it in their home, they're investing it in their assets, assets being you're making whatever it is that you have, that you love, you're making it better. Maybe it's your business. Maybe it's your small business. Corporations, same thing. We must remember that the most successful people in the country and those who are running corporations are the greatest job creators in the world. When you punish them with higher taxes, what you really do is you punish the person who's in the middle class and below that. The reason being is because the middle class person and the person below that is in need of a job, is in need of a raise, and they need those high successful people to create situations for that to happen. When you punish those people at the top, you literally punish the people at the bottom. Because here's the thing. If you got a guy who's making $1 million a year and he's being taxed 37%, you're going to bump him up to 40%. He is going to look for places to cut. He ain't going to cut out of his own wallet. Why is he going to do that? Who wants to go? What's the incentive to tell somebody to go out and work so this way you can give everybody else a raise and you got to pay yourself less? Nobody does it. It doesn't make any sense. It's one of the reasons why I decided to do the retirement now and not push myself even further and harder, because I said to myself, I said, you know what? I see where this is going. If Trump is the president, fantastic. But if we don't win the midterms, we ain't getting anywhere. And if we don't win in 2028, this country is going back to where it was with Biden and even worse. There is no way I am going to go out and work my ass off like crazy, like I have for 30 plus years, so I could give all my money to the government so this way they could give it to illegal aliens. I'm just not doing it anymore. I'm cutting it off. That's what happens when you take somebody who's successful and a job creator, and somebody who takes opportunity and creates it into something. When you punish them, you punish everybody else. Trump talking about raising taxes on the most wealthy, as he would say it, and on corporations is a recipe for absolute disaster across the board. It will hurt job creation. It will hurt investment. It will hurt GDP. It will hurt any Republican's opportunity and chance for a midterm win, and it will hurt J.D. Vance's chance for a 2028 win. The Republican Party will shoot itself in the foot, and here's why. The greatest donors to the Republican Party is not the middle class. It's the people who have the money to make large donations. Without those donations, it's very hard to be able to compete against the Democrats, who are going to raise tons of money all the time. The second thing that it does is it makes people who used to support the Republican and the MAGA movement, they say, why am I going to do this for? You're punishing me. You lied to me. You told me that you were going to be a business-friendly White House, and now you're not. Now you turned on me. And you know what? I'm not going to reward you for that. And so, I'm not voting in the midterms. I'm definitely not giving a donation. And I may actually vote Democrat when it comes 2028. And that may sound crazy to you, but if Trump is to raise taxes, so this way he could get his big, beautiful bill, I am telling you that the richest people in this country and the corporations in this country, they're not going to care about the open borders. They're not going to care about the DEI programs, and they're not certainly going to care about trans athletes. Yeah, it's something they think about. Yeah, they should think about it maybe a little bit more than they do. But ultimately, people vote with their wallets. That's the way it is. It's always about the economy. They're going to sit back and say, I made more money with Biden than I did with Trump. Much more money with Biden. My stocks were up. My retirement was up. And I wasn't getting taxed more. I was still benefiting from the 2017 Trump taxes, but I was benefiting. And Trump is now going to tariff me to death. And then on top of that, he's going to raise my taxes. I don't want this. I don't want this at all. The idea, just alone as an idea, says to me, what the hell is he thinking? And anybody in his circle that is encouraging this needs to be cut out of the circle. Now, we have a clip here. Ryan's going to play it. We have a clip here of a congressman. I think his name is Muir. He's from Pennsylvania. He's a Republican. It's 5 minutes. We usually don't play 5-minute clips, but this is from Fox News. I want you to listen to what this guy is saying. This guy was an entrepreneur before he was actually a congressman. And he is sitting there saying that he is one of the people that was supporting raising taxes on corporations and individuals. Ryan, play the video.
President Trump is now considering raising the corporate tax rate and creating a 40% tax bracket for millionaires in order to pay for all the desired tax cuts. This includes taxes on tips, overtime, Social Security. Congressman, where are we right now? Because when you start to talk about raising the corporate tax rate, I'm not saying you, but those that are maybe suggesting it, your colleagues, or maybe it is you, I don't know, let's find out. But or you start to talk about, raising taxes on millionaires, those sound like Democratic talking points.
Well, it sounds like all of America talking points, and I don't mean to play word games here. And I actually did suggest it a number of months back.
Which one, the corporate tax rate or the
wealthy, the high-end income rate? Okay. Of course, it was at 39.6. The Tax Cut and Jobs Act under President Trump brought it to 37 just on income levels over $750,000, I think it is. So by bringing it from the 37 as we're redoing the tax plan to perhaps 38.6, right? It would still be 1% less than it was before, right? And by the way, if the Democrats are voting against this, the Democrats are all for tax rate increases for low income, middle income, high income, corporate, businesses, you name it. getting rid of the bonus depreciation and everything else. So we're fighting for small business. We're fighting for all of America and for the job creators that might be in those categories. So if you were to bring it up at one point, it brings about $15 billion in revenues, right? Without any elasticity, which could take place. So if it did come up to 39, it's almost $25 billion. The president is determined not to have a standard, if you will, Republican, and this is my view from what I based upon him. I'm not putting words in his mouth. A standard Republican style budget. What he wants to see is something that is in the interest of all of America, middle-income America, small business. And by the way, we would be talking about an exemption for pass-through small businesses, so they would not be paying at the higher rate as they do now at their income level rate.
Mark, I want to get your reaction to that, because especially from the small business side, what kind of effect do you think that would have?
Well, I mean, they're going to have lesser profits. They're then going to hire fewer people. The people they have employed, their wage gains and wage growth is going to slow. So there's certainly an impact there. And what I'll say, Congressman, is that since the Trump tax cuts went into place, our tax revenues as a country are 50% higher than they were in 2016, pre-Trump tax cuts. So the lower brackets have led to faster economic growth, have increased the tax base, and a lower percentage on a much, much, much larger tax base has really helped to drive additional tax revenue for our government. Do we really need to give the government more?
No. All absolutely true. Revenues went through the roof, 8%, 9% growth. I was former revenue secretary in Pennsylvania. I mean, that's just phenomenal. No question. Everything you stated, we really have a savings problem, not a revenue problem. If, however, we do need to, in reconciliation, balance the fiscal situation, and by doing so, will allow for some of those promises that the president did make. Look, the bottom line with taxes is we need to be competitive, not necessarily low, certainly not high, but competitive, and competitive with the rest of the world. That's why the corporate tax rate is very important, being at 21%. I mean, you got Ireland at 12%. I mean, we're in the middle of the pack, barely, where other countries have gotten more competitive. So you're absolutely right. Wherever that max min is for generating the highest level of revenues, it's something under consideration. It's certainly not typical. I understand. So we're going to see how we can fit it all together, and we need to do it. By the way, we need to get this done, and if not by Memorial Day, certainly by 4th of July.
So a couple of things here. You know, I wrote down a few things because that was long, but it was very, very informative. So first of all, there is a troll on Facebook. Nancy, I won't say her full name, but you can find her. She writes, "So glad I unfollowed you, flip-flopper." Put those on your ears. First of all, if you unfollowed me, Nancy, then why are you on my feed commenting? Secondly is, flip-flopper, I'm not, see, this is the level of the idiot that's out there. This is why we can't find ourselves. Because flip-flopper, how am I a flip-flopper? I'm not the one who's at the White House right now who went around for 12 months and said, I'm going to lower taxes for everybody, right? And then come out with all of these plans that are actually going to tax people more, take away child tax credits from $2,000 to $1,000, increase bracket. I'm not the flip-flopper. Why am I the flip-flopper? Why you blame me? Nancy's like that idiot, that absolute idiot that goes into the doctor and says, I've got this horrible cough. And the doctor says, well, because you've increased from 1 pack of cigarettes to 2 pack of cigarettes a day. And then Nancy yells at the doctor, you suck. You know, that's it. So once in a while, you are going to get an absolute idiot on Facebook, and Nancy wins the idiot of the day. Now, with that said, this congressman said a few things. When he was challenged and asked, well, why are you bringing up like more taxation on corporations and on the wealthy? I mean, it sounds like a Democrat talking point. It is. Listen to Bernie Sanders and AOC, who are bringing in 30 to 35,000 people per stop. And what are they talking about? They're talking about taxing corporations and taxing job creators even more. Why? Because these people stand for socialism and communism, to where they want everybody to get things for free. Well, nothing's for free. Who do you think pays for that? It's the people at the top who are the job creators. Bernie Sanders and AOC don't know how to spark an economy. Not even close. Is it that the White House and the people who are surrounding Trump are looking at these 35,000 person crowds and being like, oh, we should feed into them? The congressman said it himself. This is not talk of Democrats. This is how all Americans talk. No, it's not. I never sit in front of somebody and they say, we need to be taxed more. Americans don't talk that way. Americans would like to see taxes eliminated, not increased. Number two, interest of all Americans. He says this is in the interest of all Americans. It's not. The only interested party that would want to have more taxes taken from corporations and people at the top are the people at the very bottom who absolutely live for free in this country. They sit there and have babies for the sake of capturing more welfare. Those are not the job creators. Those are not the ones who keep our country humming. The ones who keep our country humming are the business owners and the ones who are out there innovating and creating jobs. For anybody not to see that means that you're somebody who's not very well educated or somebody who's selling into a special interest. Then the congressman said that this would not impact pass-through businesses, which is a small business. I'm a pass-through business. DML CBD, for example, is a pass-through business. What does that mean? It means that because I'm a small business, if let's say for instance my business does, I'm making up numbers. Let's say it makes $2 million in total revenue for the year. It's a small business. And let's say, for instance, the profit on that, after all expenses, is $1 million. That $1 million passes through to me, and I am therefore taxed on $1 million. Make it smaller numbers. You're a small business, and you do $300,000 a year in revenue, and the profit is $150,000 after all expenses. That passes through to you. So what this congressman is saying and what the Trump administration is saying is, don't worry, small businesses won't get impacted on this. You won't get taxed more. It doesn't matter. The majority of small businesses out there in America are depending on a big business at some point, whether it's a big business that's delivering them goods, selling them goods, maybe it's a small business that sells into and services a big business. Small businesses will be negatively impacted, if not crushed, when the big businesses, when the corporations cut back. They cut back in purchasing, they cut back in making, they cut back, they cut back, they cut back. Small business, Main Street businesses lose when that happens. Anybody who says the different doesn't understand the economy. It's just that simple. And all you had to do was read some of the signage that was there on that Fox News program, where they were putting up the different things that the White House is considering and doing in terms of increasing taxes on people. And if you've got only half a brain, you recognize that this would be a recipe for disaster. So that's my message today. My message today is loud and clear, and it's going straight to the White House. It goes straight to Trump. It goes straight to these Congress people. If you are somebody who is in front of a congressman, if you want to write a letter to a congressman, if you want to put out a tweet or something on your Facebook, and you want it to reach the president, and you want it to reach the administration, you must stand firm. President Trump, I voted for you 3 times. I'm 100% in your corner, but you cannot raise taxes on anybody in this country. You promised you wouldn't do it. You need to find another way to pay for these programs you want. We cannot start to sound like Democrats. You can't feed into Democrats. You can't punish the people who got you all your donations, got you into the White House, and said, this is going to be the best business-friendly White House of all time. You cannot do that to them. If you do this to us, I will tell you right now what will happen. There's no doubt. Dumb people like Nancy have no idea. Nancy can't find her ass with both hands, I'm sure. But what will wind up happening is the following. The Republicans will absolutely lose the midterms. Donald J. Trump will therefore be impeached. If we lose the Senate, which we very may well lose the Senate as well, if the stock market stays down, 401k stay down, and then people can't get jobs. I mean, there are lots of warnings out there right now about the U.S. economy not going in the right direction. And if it does go in a bad direction, let me tell you, we will lose both. And what happens, Mr. Trump? You will no longer be the president. Because if we lose the House and we lose the Senate, you will be impeached and you will be removed. We will not win 2028. The MAGA movement will die. It will be like the Tea Party movement. It will just be, what was that again? Yep. And Armageddon will be what it is we're dealing with. Now, we're in the first 100 days. I haven't had a show like this so far where I've said gloom and doom is sitting right on our front door. I have tried to champion for Trump in every single way. The 47 Report newsletter, we dedicate the first 2/3 to all positive things that are going on in the Trump administration and what they're trying to accomplish. And then at the very bottom, we put the resistance and what people are trying to do to stop the MAGA. If I were writing that newsletter today, I would put President Trump and his team in the resistance. They're actually cutting off their own arm. It doesn't make any sense. So the president has to stop talking like this immediately. He's got to put out a Truth Social or a tweet, and he's got to declare right now that there is never, ever under his presidency going to be a tax increase for corporations or for the most wealthiest. And when you think of wealthiest, I don't want you to think Warren Buffett or Zuckerberg. Those are anomalies. I'm talking about people who run corporations and who do very well because they are innovators and they are job creators. You hurt those people in the wallet, you hurt this entire country, and you're going to hurt the Republican and the MAGA movement beyond repair. That is, I'm putting it out there. I would put all my chips on that bet. I would not save one chip for a reserve. All my chips would go on that bet. And if Trump were to do that, if he were to raise the taxes, like I just said, I am telling you this show would take a whole different direction because I would no longer believe in Trump's program. I would no longer believe in his agenda. A, because he changed it without any warning, without any good justification. And B, because I know it won't work. If Donald J. Trump got on TV today and said, we're going to do nothing else for immigration except for we're just going to build a wall, I'd say that's never going to work. It's just not going to work. So I'm not going to sit here and play games with what I know is true and what I know is not true. That's what my reputation is built on, and I will keep my reputation. And people like Nancy, who said she's so glad she unfollowed me only to come back, Nancy, you're a loser. Right? Did I say that good? And I didn't even use any profanity.
I mean, you're not a flip-flopper, so.
Yeah. Nancy, I bet you if you looked at Nancy's life, you would find
a lot of flip-flopping.
Flip-flopping, failure, one guy in, one guy out, sort of life. Yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get. So if you want consistency and you want to do well, listen to DML here, and I'm telling you exactly what it is that the president in this case cannot do. If he goes forward with it and he talks about this more, he is going to pay a dear price, and we all will pay it with him. That's it for me. It's 11:02. We went an hour here. We went a little long, but not really because we started late because we had technical difficulties. But God willing, we'll be back with you here again tomorrow. And we thank you for joining us, even losers like Nancy. I had to pick on somebody today, Ryan, other than you losing in your golf game.
There's always one.
Always one. That's right. There's always one at Christmas. There's always one somewhere. All right. Listen, make sure you hit the share button. And don't forget to go to 47report.com, sign up for the newsletter. And, of course, do not forget, DMLCBD.com, the buy one, get one free today. Until tomorrow, God willing, may he bless you, your family, our president, our vice president, and these United States. We'll talk to you soon.
Get the Dennis Michael Lynch podcast every day by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and download the DML News app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for breaking news, merchandise, films, exclusive content, and Team DML.